Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, Joseph Parker, highly touted heavyweight. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember the date exactly, but I know he's fighting really soon. I'm pretty sure it's this weekend, probably Saturday. He'll be fighting Carlos Takam in probably the biggest test of his career. So with all that being said, the fight is an IBF heavyweight eliminator, and the winner gets mandatory rights to fight for the belt currently held by Anthony Joshua. So a win here puts Joseph Parker in a very, very interesting position and gives us a very interesting matchup. But he's got to get past Carlos Takam. And when we talk about Carlos Takam, I know, obviously I don't know as much about Carlos Takam as a guy like Mr. Boxing Today does, because that guy knows heavyweight boxing top to bottom. But I know a little bit about Carlos Takam. He beat Tony Thompson in 2014. I believe he fought Povetkin, but I know he's a good fighter, and I know he's the kind of guy that you just pick. You don't pick Carlos Takam for like an easy fight to pad your record. The guy is tough, and he comes to fight every time. And David Haye made an interesting statement that I saw on BoxingTC.com, so I wanted to get into it, and I wanted to dissect it as I always do here on True School Sports. David Haye stated the following when it comes to, he basically said that Carlos Takam represents a bigger challenge to Joseph Parker than anybody that Anthony Joshua or Deontay Wilder fought. So basically what he's saying is that Carlos Takam is better than everybody that Deontay Wilder has faced and everybody that Anthony Joshua has faced. So I'm going to get to the quotes. We'll come back and we'll break this down. But here's what he said about Carlos Takam. Carlos Takam, he said, I quote, Carlos Takam isn't the kind of guy you pick for an opponent. He's too tough. He causes too many potential issues. He's the type of guy you have to fight in a mandatory. You have to be forced to fight this guy, to fight for a world title. That's the only time this guy gets any work. Carlos Takam is probably better than any of the opponents that Deontay Wilder's fought or that Anthony Joshua has fought. I think if I had a list of all the opponents, I'd put Carlos Takam at the top. It shows the courage of Parker to take on such a dangerous challenger in a mandatory. He's ranked highly in a number of governing bodies, so he didn't have to take this fight. He could have gone down another route, but he chose to take this tough route because he wants a shot at Anthony Joshua's IBF title, and this is a final eliminator for that. So all that being said, man, I'll say this about that statement. If we are dissecting that statement about Takam being better than Deontay Wilder's best opponent and Anthony Joshua's best opponent, we'll start with, let's figure out who their best opponents are. So we'll start with Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua's only had 16, 17 fights. And with all that being said, you'd probably say that his best opponent was Dillian Whyte. Now, we're not taking anything away from Dillian Whyte. As your 15th, and that was his 15th professional fight against Dillian Whyte, and that's a tough test. But Dillian Whyte is a low B, high C class fighter. Good fighter though for your 15th, really good fighter for your 15th professional fight. Also fought the likes of Kevin Johnson, who I know was undefeated. So some people might say Kevin Johnson, some people might say Dillian Whyte, but I know the majority will probably say Dillian Whyte. So there you have Dillian Whyte. A guy who will also be Joshua in the amateur, so let's not forget that fact. Deontay Wilder, on the other hand, you'd probably say that his best opponent would probably be, well, it was going to be Povetkin before this whole thing happened, but Bermane Stiverne, for sure, would probably be his best opponent. But at the same time, a lot of people probably wouldn't even say that Bermane Stiverne was truly in his peak condition, because he had the crazy dehydration problem when Bermane Stiverne looked like a scarecrow in the ring, dead man walking, just a punching bag. Didn't look like the normal Bermane Stiverne we're accustomed to seeing. But regardless, there's that. So you take Carlos Takam, you take Bermane Stiverne, and you take Dillian Whyte. I think you got to put Takam at least. If you don't agree with Haye saying, Takam's at least is better than Joshua's best opponent. And he's just as good, if not on the level. I think he's on the level with Stiverne, maybe slightly below, but that's just an opinion. But yeah, I don't think that's a crazy statement. And with that statement not being so crazy, with that being a really rational point by David Hay, I would say that you got to give Joseph Parker a lot of credit because this is an IBF eliminator. Traditionally speaking, in boxing today, when you have fights like this that are eliminators for a title, the guy who is the house fighter gets preferential treatment usually and gets a guy that's a soft touch to get him the shot at the title. This is not one of those cases. Joseph Parker's taking on a very tough guy here in Takam, and you know, we're gonna see a lot about. We're gonna find out a lot about him in his next fight. So I'm looking forward to it. I think, you know, obviously I'm rooting for Parker to win because I would love to see that huge showdown between Joshua and Parker. I know there's some people that think Parker would beat Joshua due to Joshua's stamina problems. You know, I'm a huge Anthony Joshua fan. I think the guy has a tremendous future in the sport. I would love to see him take on a guy like Joseph Parker. You know, that's a great fight, and that would be great for boxing just in general. So let me know what you guys think. Is Carlos Takam better than any of Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua's opponents? And how much credit do you give Joseph Parker for being in a fight like this against a guy as tough as Takam this early in his career? Leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. And you could love me or you could hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.